Jess Baker, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, we are in Champaign or are we still in Muhammad at this
It's a
moment?
Champaign address.
Champaign.
Yeah.
Okay. Champaign, Illinois,
Yes.
home of the Illini. And it's good to be back home. I told you I grew up in this area. And so, this is kind of a celebration because I'm back in my zone.
That's fun.
Yeah. Did you grow up around here or did you move here?
Yeah, I grew up here in Champaign until I was 14. My sister and I are actually born in Oklahoma. My parents came here for work here till I was 14, and then we moved to Philo, which is just outside of Champaign, and I've been in that area since then. Okay,
cool. Well, you've got me in your warehouse today, which as a sentence feels like I'm gonna be kidnapped. But it's kind of a cool thing because you own your own company that creates a product that very much aligns with what you do. Would you tell us about that?
Yes, it's still a baby company. But yeah, all the stuff on the shelves is it's a cleaner. It's just a very basic product, but a lot of the cleaners for hooves that are the most popular are really harsh, or people will do pretty strong vinegar or bleach solutions to clean the bottom of hooves. And you can imagine they walk around and they step in their own poop, and so it's not the most sanitary place. But using something that strong is actually really damaging to the hoof, especially if you're dealing with a bacterial infection or a fungal infection. So mine is just a very gentle cleanser that can be used often.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I want to not mispronounce what you do, but I think it's called Farrier, right?
Yes.
Yes.
I
All
am
right.
a farrier.
Cool. Tell us what Farrier does.
I shoe horses,
Mm-hmm.
not shoot horses.
Right.
Which is an often misheard thing.
And sometimes you shoe them so that nobody has to shoot them.
Yes.
I imagine.
Yeah, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so all horses grow, their hooves grow, so you have to clip them or trim them. And in some cases, you'll put shoes on them for various reasons, and I do both.
Nice.
Yeah.
How did you start doing that? That seems, in my world, that's I don't even know that I've been around a horse other than maybe one or two times. Did you grow up around horses? Is this kind of a natural thing for you?
On and off around horses. I've always loved animals. In your last, 2 podcasts ago with the wolf girl.
Uh-huh.
And she said, she was saying how she wanted to be Steve Irwin when she grew up. That was me. I was so exactly what she described. So this is kind of what I fell into with that. I thought I wanted to train. And as I was graduating high school and kind of realizing any training, dogs, horses, anything like that, is a lot of people work. And if you can't teach people to do what you're doing with the animal, that's really what it is. If you work with the animal, but a lot of it is people work. And I was I was young. I knew I wouldn't probably thrive at that right away. And right at the same time, I went to a clinic. I signed up for a 2-week clinic in the summer to learn to trim, just to get a little experience under my belt, just for, it's something that's done to a lot of horses. And it's, unless you ride along with a farrier, I just wanted to get my feet wet with it.
Sure.
And I never left the school for a year.
So. That's cool.
Yeah.
So it just hit you.
Yeah, I really liked it.
Yeah. What part of it do you like? I assume you have to enjoy horses.
Yeah,
being around
enjoy
them.
the animals, enjoy the school that I went to split the days up between anatomy work and book work. So really learning how the horse moves and just in class kind of thing, a lot of theory work. And then we would go out and we would trim the horses. And we would practice making shoes from a piece of bar stock. And then that slowly transferred into actually nailing the shoes, doing the whole thing. But it's a lot more than I thought it was going to be. And it just kept me very engaged, and it's very physical. I like that. I'm a high energy person, like you said. So I just liked everything about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. When you say making shoes, you mean there's an element of blacksmithing involved then.
Yeah.
You're really shaping and working with hot metal, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah. It was fun.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a lot that I wanted to talk with you about because I think this is fascinating. I don't know anything about horses other than I think they're cool. So I'm excited that you're on the show and we get to do that. And we're in Champaign. What could be wrong?
Yeah.
I'll be at Filippo's after this. I'm good to go.
I don't even know what Filippo's is.
Okay. Sure.
What is it?
It's the best pizza place in the world and is literally 5 minutes from this building. You guys have not been there?
No, we're not big pizza people.
That's fine. This is religion. This isn't really pizza.
Yeah, well, we have friends from Brazil who know all of the food here, and they're constantly ashamed of us.
Really?
Yeah.
You guys like stay in your
Especially
lane
with
very much.
pizza.
How? I've never met someone who's like, I'm not really into pizza.
I know,
Yeah.
but I'm not.
What do you eat then? Like, how do you even?
Tacos would be my
Okay.
like cliche
Okay. There's a lot of taco
love food.
stuff in Champaign.
Yeah.
There's like a taco truck on every corner.
Taco trucks, El Toros. That's what I started
Mhm.
doing. Is I'll go like at the beginning of the week and get 5 to 10 tacos and just eat them all week long.
That's great. Why not?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was a sidetrack, but I definitely think you're missing out on this experience
Probably am.
because it's like one of my favorite parts of being in this town is that I'm right down the street from Filippo's, which I grew up with, and is like, it's just emotional to me. It's like a whole thing. It matters to me.
Good.
Yeah. But this show isn't about me. This show's about you. So, okay, I had a lot of questions for you about horses. So I want to understand, like, what exactly is their hoof? Because it seems like it's almost more like equivalent to our nail than to like our foot.
You could reach up behind you. I don't know if that's okay to do
Yeah,
on a
of course.
podcast.
Ooh, we have
Grab
a
that
model?
thing. Yeah. That's real. I think it's
Okay.
like freeze dried. So yeah,
Okay.
it's like our fingernail.
All right.
So this part is like our fingernail.
Okay, she's pointing to, for us laymen, what I would call the hoof,
Yeah, the outside,
The
that, you
outside that you
see
see.
from the top when the horse is standing.
where the shoe attaches, sort of.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so then the shoe obviously sits on the bottom of the foot,
Okay.
and it runs from here all the way around to here. This is one, this side is trimmed, this side is not, to show the difference.
Okay.
And this line in here, so we're looking at the inside, like an inside cut, straight down the middle of the hoof. This would be what attaches our fingernail to the soft part.
Okay.
I mean, it's not exactly the same, obviously. This is bone. So it's very similar in a very basic, simple way. It's very similar to our fingernail.
And it continuously grows throughout their life. It doesn't
Yes.
ever seem to stop.
So this part is like the white part of your fingernail.
So I had seen you talk about this in one of your posts, that like a wild horse, there's a difference with a wild horse, that they didn't need to be shoed, or is it shoed or shod?
Shod.
They didn't need to be shod because they would consistently wear it down. Is that how that would work?
Wear it down and then breed out bad genetics for bad feet too.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, the wild horse moves a heck of a lot more and on a lot harder of terrain. I mean, especially here. I mean, it is different in different parts of the world or the United States. I have a couple clients that went from like a mud lot, soft, squishy. A lot of the times it was either soft mud or decently soft dirt, and then put in like a lime lot. So you'll dig a couple feet down and you'll have different layers of rock, but the top is like a really tightly packed, very fine gravel, and it's lime. And I have two or three clients that put one of those in, and I went from trimming them like on a normal every 6 weeks to I would show up and like they had worn their feet down perfectly, and like there was just nothing for me to do. So like that just demonstrates, when they're moving around on something hard that's gonna wear them down, I mean, it really can maintain their feet pretty
Wow,
well.
that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, okay, so this is an odd comparison to draw, but we have a guinea pig in our home. His name is Mose. And Andrea has to like trim his nails regularly.
Yeah.
And first of all, a million questions about that, because it's like an awful experience when she's doing it, because he does not like it, but she has to, because he'll like hurt his back if they get too long. And then there's always like, it's so tough with those small animals because their like nail bed is like finding where it is so hard. And so you often go like too far and clip them, and it's like, it's a whole thing. And then he starts squealing and you have to like just deal with him with that.
Yeah.
That's terrible. It's the worst.
It is.
I wish we could, like just professionally have it done all the time. But I suppose
That'd be nice.
that's why people call you.
Do you just use the little round clippers that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a dog clipper.
Yeah. So does that make you, so like because of your skills working with horses, like with your dog, are you like just a champ?
No, I actually don't like trimming. I'm taking my dog to get her nails trimmed on Sunday.
Okay.
And for the most part, we run around a lot and stuff. So actually, my last dog and her really don't need their nails trimmed exactly the whole dry
Right.
lot thing because I run them on the road a ton.
Right.
So they pretty much just wear their nails down.
It's such an interesting thing. I mean, it's true with humans too, that like when we get in these like more controlled environments, we're not doing quite as wild of things. Like we have to all of a sudden maintain all of these things that are meant to maintain themselves naturally.
Uh-huh.
That's such an odd thing, but all of a sudden we have to because
Right.
we've sort of messed with our own evolution in that way.
Yeah, and mess with the evolution with breeding. Like you breed for color and you breed for, I don't know, different traits. But I mean, things like I don't think I've ever actually met someone that picked a horse for its feet.
For its
They
feet.
kind of get,
Well,
different things just kind of get looked over.
why would you? Is there a good reason that you should?
Well, I mean, if you don't have feet and they can't move, they can't perform whatever it is that you're wanting them to do. So it can be a small, seemingly small thing in the hoof or even in the leg can rapidly turn into a pretty significant issue.
So you're talking about if there were, I have to imagine you're talking about things like if there's an abscess or something or some sort of infection.
Yeah.
Is that something that you end up working with a lot too?
Yeah, somewhat. Around here it's muddy enough and wet enough and good enough conditions for that kind of thing that it happens often enough.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
I haven't had any horrible ones that I've dealt with in a long time. But a lot of that comes from maintaining them regularly.
Right.
And I have a very consistent client base. So unless somebody new comes on, I really don't have a lot of issues. It's pretty steady, uneventful work
Yeah.
these days. Yeah.
You've got kind of a like sort of an ancient profession in a way.
Yeah, and
Like-
it hasn't changed a lot for
Really?
how old it is.
Should it?
I don't know. It depends on who you ask. But I mean, it works really, really well. And if you do it right, because that's another thing is that you can, but you can do this with anything. You can apply or, do it poorly. But if you know what you're doing, it's like, what would you improve? I don't know.
Yeah. Are there people who do it poorly and you like see bad work and you have to fix things and
Yeah, I don't run into that a whole lot, but again, I picked up my clientele pretty fast and have had but pretty much the same clientele besides, a couple in and out every year for years. So I don't see a lot of bad farriers in our area.
I have kind of a ridiculous question for you. This just goes to show like how far removed I am from this world. Because I don't think I know anybody that owns horses at all. So what do people own horses for?
Well, around here, they're mostly, I shouldn't even say this, but my clientele is primarily pets.
Recreation.
Yeah, recreation. Either they're just pets and they ride them around their yard or ride them around their property. And maybe 25% actually will trail ride and, leave the house, leave the property with their horses. But I don't have. Now my clients are going to listen to this.
We can't think of everybody at this moment. You're on the spot. You're on a podcast.
That's pretty much all of my clients are.
Okay.
But there are some sporting barns, dressage barns, a couple different show barns that have horses with more of a quote unquote purpose.
Right.
But
Or like there are horses that are involved in a rodeo, I assume.
yeah, and
There
there's
are rodeos around here.
yeah, no, I don't think there's any yeah, there are. I don't do them.
Why not? Just you,
I don't know.
you
They
don't
just have,
yet?
yeah,
or
they
you-
they
I
just
see.
haven't come my way. The people that I work with are so low maintenance and so easygoing, and no one's calling me, a day before a show or they're leaving for a show and oh my gosh, he lost a shoot. There's none of that. And so I just really like it. It's very low key.
Yeah.
People that don't have more than they can handle, and so their horses all get really good care.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like it's not surprising to me because it's like if you are doing good enough to own a horse for recreation, you're probably doing good. Like that's not a cheap pet, I feel like.
Yeah.
That's
There are people that should not have horses that either don't have the money or don't have the space, but I don't know. There's a handful of them around, but I don't do any of those
right.
people anymore.
That's got to be hard in your position to be like to see a horse that you're like, I can do my work well, but the rest of the conditions for this horse are not good.
Yeah, I had a client. It's not my client. Somebody called me, and yeah, they basically said they were kind of out in the middle of nowhere, and they're like, we can't get a farrier, but we are willing to pay whatever it costs to have you come to our area. And they were too far for me, but I said, I mean, they sounded like really great people, and I was like, okay, you know, I'll come, but it's going to cost you a lot, but I'll help you find a farrier. I'll call a couple of people and show up. And it was like a hoarder, awful. I mean, it was like, I didn't call animal control, but like I thought about, I mean, it was like right on the edge. Like, you guys should not have these horses. I looked at them and I was like, you need to call a different farrier and you need to call a vet, and I'm leaving. I mean, so there are people like that. And it's like, ugh.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you do?
That's unfortunate.
It's not really my business.
Yeah.
It kind of is because I showed up, but.
Well, I mean, like horses in general, like, or riding horses, it's like its own culture. And that's why I'm so curious about all these things, because I'm not in that like subculture. Like I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
I don't have that mindset of like, I need a horse. I don't know that I felt that way. I think they're awesome, but I don't know that I've ever done that. They're some of my favorite YouTube videos for sure. Like horses doing what horses do. And like, you know, throwing people in water buckets is always a good thing. Like, it just seems like they seem to me to be a little bit like prankish, if that makes sense.
Yeah, some of them.
Like they can be a little like obstinate.
Mm-hmm. Definitely the ones that make YouTube and memes and Instagram, definitely.
Right. So how do you deal with like the personalities of these various horses then? Like you are getting up in their business.
Yeah, most of them, I mean, you start hoof care when they're very, very young. I mean, just immediately. So if you have, again, a good client, a good owner that's taught their horse to stand well, they don't mind it at all. I mean, you have some smaller horses that, you know, I'm really tall, so some smaller horses that I kind of have to like pull them out and I'm trying to stay underneath them, and they might give you a little bit of trouble, but for the most part, all my horses stand good, and
they don't have to be like sedated to do this.
No.
They're fine with it. It'd be like us going, like you don't have to sedate someone who's going to a nail salon.
Yeah.
It's like, nah, they are sedated. It's pretty relaxed.
And some of them like it. Some of them just like the attention, and some of them probably, if they have any kind of a small issue, they probably feel a little bit better when I'm done. So.
Okay, so but it's not just horses, right? Because well, at least I've seen pictures of you with a ton of donkeys.
Yeah.
And also with some sheep. It seems like you do work with sheep also.
Yeah. So Fridays I work at a little sheep farm down the road from my house and do all kinds of stuff. 2 years ago, I thought I wanted to learn to shear. I did want to learn to shear, and I learned to shear, but I would have to like put a lot of consistent effort for weeks up front to really like make it worth my time. You should be able to shear a sheep in like 5 to 7 minutes, and it takes me like 25.
Oh, okay.
And then kills my back because I'm not used to the position. So I kind of let that go, but I got hooked up with a sheep farm 2 years ago. And so I just go out there on Fridays and I mow, or I trim the sheep's feet, or she has some pretty high quality wool sheep. So once a year they get shorn, and then she sells the fleeces. So we like jacket them, and they need their jackets switched out all year long. And
that's so funny.
Yeah. So
but sheep, like, they like it. They need it to be sheared, right? Like they get pretty uncomfortable if they are not. That's so odd.
Yeah.
I don't understand the natural component of that. How does that work in the wild?
You know, so there's hair sheep, and they shed their hair out. I don't know a ton about sheep. I mostly just go to this farm and play with the sheep. But wool sheep, I actually don't know when wool sheep first came to be, and if that was mostly us cultivating that for the wool. But yeah, hair sheep will shed kind of like when you see like a patchy buffalo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they'll like itch their hair off, I think.
Oh,
it's my understanding. I don't know a ton about sheep.
Well, it is weird that we live in this world, we're surrounded by all these animals. Even, well, it's true of plants too. Like all these things that we've bred into plants and animals. Like that's not how corn looks.
Right.
Original corn is like, it's super small. It doesn't have kernels on kernels on kernels. It's not a giant plant. It's like a small thing.
Yeah.
It is super odd what we've sort of been like, this is good. We're just going to keep like being in charge of I don't know. I think a lot about humans messing with nature, and
Mm-hmm.
it stays on my
We
mind
love
a
to
lot.
do that.
Yeah, and we're just like, these are the new rules. This is what we're gonna do now. It's kind of an odd thing,
Yeah.
but that's got to be true of horses too. Like
Mm-hmm.
there must be some, and this is one of those ways where it's like, yeah, just like rodents, just like our guinea pig. Like if they're just doing their thing, they don't necessarily need extra care
Right.
to their hooves, but all of a sudden we are like, you live in this pen now. You live on this pasture now.
Yeah.
It's really at the ground's
Yep.
soft everywhere. You don't have
And
to run for
everything
your life
changes.
constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's true for us too. Like I don't like the modern human, like go back 100 years and put us next to someone from that time or someone from a different part of the world and all of a sudden we're like a different species too.
Right. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Human brain size is shrinking. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know.
Mhm.
I believe it though.
Yeah. That's a real thing. I was just reading about it, and it makes me feel odd because for like huge, vast periods of time, it was growing, and now it's like going the other way. So, like, imagine this podcast 100 years ago with this technology, they'd probably be saying smarter things than I'm saying
Yeah.
right now,
It's
which,
awkward.
just another way to feel bad about yourself, ultimately. But that's good. Um, I'm wondering if these lights are going to turn off on us because the other ones did.
Oh.
It's a little on my mind.
We can just
Are
call
we
a
good?
dog over and she'll.
That's true.
We can just. I think what I have thought about doing is getting like a Nerf gun or something and putting streamers on the Nerf.
Oh,
Is it a Nerf?
yeah.
That you shoot the Nerf if it's a Nerf gun.
Mm,
Anyway, shooting the streamers across the room.
no,
and
this
it
is
would
important. This is important. Don't pass by that. What is it called?
What's a Nerf?
It's not a pellet. No, but what's the thing that you shoot, the projectile?
I mean,
The
either
dart?
it
I think I
has
would
to
call
be
it
a Nerf
dart.
or I have to be a Nerf for it to be a Nerf gun.
Yeah, the
right?
Nerf. Yeah,
Does Nerf mean something?
it means something. It means I don't know. I would call it a dart.
What was that about brain size?
Yeah. Yeah, it's not great. It's not great how we're thinking
Yeah.
right
Tie
now.
streamers to it,
Okay.
and then you can shoot it across the room, and the lights will turn back
There's
on.
got to be more fun ways to do that. You could put a basketball hoop over there and then throw, like a little Nerf basketball into it. And if you make it, it's double, the lights
So
stay
many
on
options.
longer. This is devolving rapidly, and that's what we do here. Okay, back to animals. So, okay, I liked what you were saying about, and I don't want to let it get past me, the spray that you use. I'm really into bacteria. I think bacteria is crazy cool, and I don't like that we just like constantly kill bacteria, because did you know that you are made of 10 times more bacterial cells than human cells?
Yeah, I
So
think I've heard that.
Isn't that crazy though?
Yeah.
Like we're just walking bacteria. It's controlling like thoughts and actions and all sorts of things. And so I feel like we must be doing the same thing to hooves with like really strong sprays that people do when they're constantly putting antibacterial, stuff on their hands, where it's like we're affecting the bacteria, we're making
Right.
it stronger, we're making our own immune system weaker. Like this is a big deal. Are you as into this as I am? I like bacteria.
I don't actually know much about bacteria,
Okay.
but I have seen the results of constant use of product.
It's like over cleaning your hands too.
Yeah, it's similar.
So what happens to horses then?
Well, with the bottom, if they're putting, like I said, like the strong vinegar or strong bleach, and then there's topical stuff, and like you read through the instructions, and I'm like, if I have to put on safety goggles and rubber gloves
Right.
to put this on my horse's hoof, maybe it's not the best idea. But yeah, they'll dry out. The consistency of the hoof just isn't quality. I'll notice that like if you do it too much, so the part, this is called the frog, and it should be very that's the rubbery middle triangular part on the bottom of the foot. It should be very like supple and fairly squishy and firm, but I mean it's soft, it moves.
Okay.
And I mean they'll just turn to rocks. I mean like the sharpest knife, like
Really?
you just can't even get it through. So
Because they're just kind of killing their skin there.
yeah, and horses' feet are made to have moisture. When they step, they expand, the whole foot moves.
Mm-hmm.
And when it doesn't do that, it puts a lot of stress in places on the foot that there should not be stress.
Hmm.
So you'll get I mean, there's various things that can happen. You can get these little cracks that run up and down there. That'll happen if they're dry. The foot doesn't have the flexibility it needs.
How do
It's
you
one of the
fix
things.
that when you get, deep cracks like that?
Personally, I will either shorten up the trim cycle. You can put shoes on that can kind of help keep it off of the harsh ground, keep them from doing anything. But first, stop whatever is causing it.
Mm-hmm.
And then to get rid of them, shorten up the trim cycle.
They should grow out eventually.
Yep. You just have to maintain it until it does.
Are there some horses that do not have shoes on them, or are there reasons not to have shoes on a horse?
Yeah, I'd say probably like 80% of my horses are barefoot.
Really?
And they just have healthy feet. They don't. A lot of my horses, I put a lot of shoes on in the spring when my people start trail riding and taking them places. They go down to southern Illinois, Indiana, lots of rocks, steeper terrain. And so we'll put shoes on, give them a little traction and protection. And then right about this time of year, I'm going to start pulling all those shoes off.
It's all just a protection thing. Okay.
Protection and traction. So the 3 reasons you would ever shoe are protection, traction, and then correction if they have a problem.
Oh.
And I try to stay away from that because, again, it's high maintenance and
You're proactive.
we got the U of I. There's great farriers at the U of I. So often if my horses need more than I really want to deal with or feel comfortable with, I'll send them to the U of I for that.
What do you like? Students at the U of I?
No, actually, one of the guys that I learned under is at the U of I. The school I went to was in Springfield, and the U of I bought it a couple of years ago.
Oh, okay.
And so they're all, the main guy that I learned under is now in Montana at Montana State.
Okay.
And the other guy that I was under is at the U of I. So they do a lot of that kind of thing. And I work for Purdue sometimes too, and they have a farrier that very experienced, a lot older than I am, a lot more experience than I have. And they do a lot of like building specialty shoes and corrective shoeing. And, if you need to, if the horse is in pain, that like creates a whole new scenario for complicated hoof work. So most of mine just have shoes for protection and traction, mostly in the summer.
I feel like U of I is a huge operation. Yeah. It's not just a school.
No.
So, but I'm trying to understand where a farrier fits into a university. Is it like part of their agricultural program or something, or like?
No, they were running the farrier school. So a typical farrier school has 1 or 2 courses they offer every year, and everything starts at the same time. And then you sign up for 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, and then people leave as the course moves on.
Okay. So it is still education. I mean, that's the main reason that they're there.
Yes.
Okay.
But even if you don't have a farrier school there, you're going to have all the horses for research. So like the Purdue horses, I do their research herds. And then, so there's that. So you need a farrier to take care of that. I just come in for that work. But if there's ever a problem with one of them, then they'll get sent up to the school, and they have a farrier that comes in like once or twice a week. And he does problem horses that they own, but also client horses of people that have horses. They brought their horses into the vet clinic for a hoof problem. And then that farrier works with the vets to take care of the horses with feet problems.
This is just a whole world that I'm so unfamiliar with.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But of course, it. This is like...
Yeah, I guess I take for granted that that's like, of course.
Well, yeah.
Come on, Tyler.
I just could ask more questions like, what are they researching about horses at universities?
Lots of different stuff.
Like veterinarians getting veterinarian degrees? I could see that.
Yeah, a lot of like the college, the Purdue horses, they'll have like a lameness, and I think this is pretty typical of any school that's doing equine research. They're different, they have different test subjects, and most of them would have like either one problem in common, or like their horses that are slightly lame. They'll use those in their school programs to identify lameness and use them with the students.
This is
a lot of different things.
This probably just comes from someone who went to like a small liberal arts school where like there were no horses for sure,
Right.
It was like there's like 4 different schools at my university, and it was like only a few things were being studied there. So this is just outside of my knowledge base entirely.
Yeah, I guess it is a whole world.
Were you always like into agricultural things? Like were you FFA in high school and all that stuff,
Just
or
animals.
just animals?
Yeah.
It was all about animals for you.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
But now you get to work with them all the time.
I know. It's awesome.
It's pretty great.
Yeah.
I've seen those moments where you are working with a horse's hoof, and I'm so scared, even just looking at a still picture, that you're going to be kicked in the head. I feel like that's a fear that the rest of us who don't spend time around horses have. Is like all these war stories of like, oh, I got kicked in the head and was never the same. And like, is this not something that you worry about? Do horses not just go, I'm going to kick you in the head now?
Not my horses.
Okay.
I think I have slightly broken fear receptors,
Ah.
but
Well, this is interesting.
I was probably a little nervous at first, but I don't really remember. But I don't know. I've been around horses for long enough and been picking their feet up for long enough. And if you have good handling skills and you know how to spot, I mean, you've got two reasons a horse would kick you, I think. Either they're in pain or scared. Like maybe
Right.
they would have those two reactions that are not the same as like this horse is coming at you and they're like stomping you and biting you, and that's kind of a mean horse is a whole different thing, and I can spot one of those and I won't go near them.
What can you spot that makes it a mean horse?
Crazy look in their eye.
Really? But that seems like more like an intuiting thing. Like you've just been
It
around
might
horses enough
be.
that.
But yeah, I just don't go near like mean horses, but those are hard to come by. You don't really aggressive mean horses. You don't see them a lot.
Because that's been bred out. Because who would own a horse that's like super
yeah,
angry?
and it's not really their nature to be aggressive. They're flight animals. So they're not really, as a whole group, they really don't get aggressive. But I mean, if they're in pain, you can work around that. But I know how to pick them up, so where if they did kick my leg, they're not going to snap my knee in half. And so I do all of this stuff instinctually now, to where, I mean, I do get like a small kick every once in a while, like a new horse. I don't know the story and I go in too fast. And
Have you ever had any close calls? Good bruises?
yeah, I've had a couple, but it's been a while. And like I said, I don't really do bad horses anymore. But yeah, I've had one or two recently that has gotten the client fired. And I hope they listen to this.
Why? Just because?
Because they don't, they have bad handling. Like if they have bad handling and that puts me in a bad place, if they were to have the reaction of, oh my gosh, are you okay? Let's, put this horse, like kind of slow down and assess. Like I said, this used to happen more often, but you'll get where I get kicked and the client either just stands there or doesn't seem to think this is like no reaction. And that's the person.
Right.
Like I can go back into the horse situation and kind of avoid another issue, but it's
Right.
like when the person doesn't have good handling skills, that's almost always been probably more the cause of the incident than the horse.
Well, that's true. I mean, I feel like that makes sense. There's animals definitely take on the persona of their owners, like in a lot of cases, I feel like. The place I see it with is dogs. And I'm like, people who are like neurotic have neurotic dogs.
Yeah.
And like, that's just because of the environment they're in is like consistently tense and everything's like fast and choppy. But then I have a buddy out in Tucson who is like the most relaxed person ever. And so he's got the most relaxed dog ever.
I think it's the same.
Yeah. So horses would like pick up that same probably personality, which I think makes sense. But go back to what you're saying. You have broken fear receptors is what you believe about yourself? Does that lead you to doing base jumping activities or anything like that?
No, I'm not super into.
Not an adrenaline junkie. per se.
No, I don't think I'm an adrenaline junkie at all.
Then why do you think you have broken fear receptors?
I just don't think about that kind of thing. Like I just kind of like dive in and it doesn't like think I get asked questions like that, like isn't that like doesn't that scare you? Doesn't that
I would feel uncomfortable just standing behind a horse. I'd be like, I know how powerful those back legs are. I'd be nervous about it.
Yeah.
But it just
No.
Is it just horses, or are you saying there's other areas of your life where you're like, I don't have any fear?
Well, the areas that I've gotten asked, I occasionally crew for a guy that flies hot air balloons, and so I've flown with him a couple times.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, that's pretty good.
and that's a little weird. Like the first 30 feet you go up, it's a little bit like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
But then it's good.
Because it's a balloon. So
Yeah. You're
Yeah.
standing in a basket attached to a balloon up in
Yeah.
the sky. It's a little weird. And then Nick and I work for a fireworks company, and so we set off fireworks.
which is also
for- Yeah, I mean you're handling
it's a bit dangerous,
little bombs that if they did go off, you'd die.
right? And that just feels good to you.
Yeah, I just do it.
I'm not saying that like I live in fear, but I'm super aware of shit. Like I'm
Right.
very like like when stuff. But I guess that it's also practice. Like I don't know. I talk about martial arts way too much on this podcast, but I do feel like since I started doing things like jujitsu, I'm way less uncomfortable in situations with other people.
How do you
because
train for that when you're on the road?
I go to whatever gym is sort of nearby that seems good. And there's a thing in jujitsu. There's like two things. There's like gi jujitsu where you are wearing the kimono, and then there's no gi jujitsu, which is a little more modern, and that's just people who are wearing tight shirts and shorts basically. And I do no gi, and it's more rare to find. So I look for gyms that sort of do that.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And so I just go let people hurt me for a few hours. That's what I was doing today.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know how long it's gonna be.
My sister-in-law does that, and she'll come back. She's like all bruised up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm bruised, but you stop bruising at a certain point too. Like
Interesting.
when I first started, the whole like my arms were just covered in bruises.
Because you fight better and faster.
No, well, I think
Or-
it's two things. I think it's like you learn how not to let someone smash your limbs per se,
Okay.
but also, so like you get out of the way of things because you know that they're coming, but also I think your skin kind of adapts to it.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
My legs are really bruised up though. That doesn't seem to stop. Apparently,
That's interesting.
it's not.
So is that how a jiu-jitsu gym works? Like you can just, what do they just have hours and you can just like pop in like a normal gym and there's just always
It's-
people rolling? Or
No,
what?
no. There's classes.
Okay.
There's classes and then there's open mats. And so you go to like a class and usually you'll learn like a technique or two that you're focusing on for that day. You'll drill out with a partner a little bit, and then it's an open mat. And you just kind of roll with various partners in like 5-minute rounds. And then today, like I went today, I'm so dead mentally because today's one of those days where they were just like, okay, open mat. And so you're rolling 5-minute rounds for like an hour and a half with just switch partners every 5 minutes.
Right.
And it's just nonstop. But
And you're never with the same people because you're all over the place.
yeah, which I think has been an advantage. Like
I
at
bet.
first it was the worst because like a lot of gyms will walk you through like, this is the technique we're working on this week. And it all goes like they're building a program
Right.
linearly. And so I'm like jumping in
Yeah.
at various points and studying something for like a week and then moving on to the next place where they're studying something totally different. But at this point, I've been able to put enough of the basics together to where that's an advantage because like certain gyms, they're not familiar with various techniques. And so if I do them, I can get away with some things they haven't
Oh.
seen before or haven't, like they've seen, but they
Right.
haven't dealt with.
Uh-huh.
So it's kind of fun.
Nice.
Not to make this another jiu-jitsu episode, which people are like, I'm sure
Well,
we're like
Every time
really
you go to a
tired
new
of.
person, we don't know.
That's
You gotta
true.
say it all again.
That's true, actually. And I did tell you before we started, like, that's how I see this show. I don't see this show as people who are like, I'm going to listen to every
Right.
episode. Because why would you? It's like, I got people, I think, who listen for jujitsu stuff. I got people who listen for archery stuff or hunting stuff, animal stuff. Like, it's all over the place. So,
That's cool.
I don't know.
I like it.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
You're on the show, actually.
Sweet.
Yeah, you made it. So this is the big times, obviously.
Wow.
Yeah.
So cool.
Okay, this was a fun one for me. I always see horses with their legs all wrapped up, like they always seem to have some type of fluorescent orange around their legs. What is are we bringing leg warmers back, or like what is going on?
It could be a couple different things.
Okay.
It could be like a fly boot. Is it like meshy? So there's these like meshy loose.
I'm rarely close enough to tell, but it's usually like a field full of horses. Like I was just out in Lafayette. You probably
Yeah,
would know exactly
probably.
where I was, frankly, because it's like real close to the university.
Probably a fly boot.
Okay, because they all had them on, so I don't think it's an injury.
Yeah, so it straps like right around here, and then it just kind of like, it's really stiff mesh,
Okay.
and I mean, you can like stick your hand down the mesh to their leg, but the flies don't figure that out. And so the flies land on the mesh, keeps them off, and then they don't stomp their feet.
Oh, okay.
So you can actually get a lot of bruising, especially a barefoot horse, but any horse, a lot of bruising, cracking, chipping in the summer because they sit there and they stomp their feet
to
on
keep
the hard ground.
off.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. That's
Yeah.
a good one to know. But they don't mind having that on.
They don't even know it's there.
Wow.
I shouldn't say that. None of my horses care.
Okay.
Maybe some horses would.
Another horse fact question that I have. I constantly see them with like not just blinders on, but almost like full blown face coverings.
Also for flies.
Just for flies. Keep them out of their eyes.
Flies, and like I have one. I've only seen this once. I have one client that her eye, I can't remember what it's called, but she has an eye thing where if she is in bright sunlight, like her eyes have an allergic reaction.
What?
And they get weepy and crusty and...
So this horse lives most of its life just in the dark.
Yeah, mostly I think like in the longer summer months. But yeah, a lot of the year she has on like a UV protecting mask.
That's so strange.
Yeah. Again, what do we breed them for?
Right.
Where did that come from?
Yeah. Well, I think it's the same with people. Like, I've just been learning a lot lately about how much we should be in the sun and seeing sunlight, and like we should be seeing every sunrise and every sunset. And it's crazy how many hormones in our body go along with that. So I'm just thinking of these horses that should be seeing light all day. And does that mess with them to have like, I mean, even if it helps them with the flies and stuff, does it mess with them to not have like light?
I don't know, because they all have like, they're very thin and have a lot of mesh over them. So I don't know how that would affect the horses, but it could. It definitely could. I feel the effects of that. My husband likes to sleep with if there's any light, he has a really hard time falling asleep. So we have like blackout blinds and like thick curtains, but then you don't see the sun come up. And like, I'm groggy. I had some bad allergies going on. So I did an air mattress in the other room for a couple nights. So I didn't keep them up. And, just a normal blind on the window, and the sunrise would get me up. I felt so fresh, like 6 a.m. every morning. I felt great.
Yeah.
While I was, medicated and had bad allergies, compared to then I felt better. So I went back to my normal bed and no sun. And and it's just like hard to get up.
I've just been learning about this from this neuroscientist who talks about like all the things that happen when you see, it's specifically the yellow light tones of the early morning and of at night. And apparently it doesn't even work through windows, through car windows, through normal windows.
No kidding?
It's like you have to spend like 50 times as long looking at that light through a window as you would if you went outside and spent like 2 minutes in real light.
Who's the guy?
It's, oh gosh, I should know this. It's Andrew. Hang on, I'll get it for you because this is worth it. Andrew Huberman. He's got a podcast called Huberman Lab, and he talks a lot about like just why we should be getting so much light and the fact that you have to actually be in it for all these things to happen. And for men, it's like, it's also has to do with like which hormones you should be producing. So men getting morning light helps with their testosterone production, and women getting morning light helps with their estrogen production.
No kidding.
And so it's like a crucial thing. It blew my mind. But now I try
That's crazy.
to get like the morning and evening light.
I'm going to use this.
Yeah.
With Nick, and we're going to go live outside.
Okay. Because we're supposed to. We're definitely supposed to.
Yeah.
This is an interesting direction. Do you dig this?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had several times. I don't know if it's just because I spend so much time outside that I like know the difference, but I come in here and I start to feel like claustrophobic. And I thought about, I don't have any good barns that are closed up enough, especially with the wind and the weather we get out here. But I was like really trying to find a different place for the podcast because I don't like being in here.
But it's also been like kind of rainy and shitty.
I know,
so
which is why we're here.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah. I've been
But it
expecting
does-
rain all day, and I feel like it gave us like 2 minutes of rain, and then it was like, okay, that's it.
Yeah, I can't hear if it's still going or not.
I don't think so. I hear the crickets.
Yeah, there's a lot of crickets in here.
Good background vibes. No, I don't care. I mean, but I think I think a lot about like during the middle of the day, it's like a little more okay to be inside, but especially the morning and evening, apparently it's massive, and that's been a huge change we've been trying to make. It's just like wake up with the sun and go get it. And
So you wake up inside, but
Yeah.
then you like
Immediately
get
go
outside for what, 30 minutes,
You don't even have
an
to do
hour?
that.
Oh, really?
No, I mean I think he says like 10 minutes. Like even actually I think he even says like 5 minutes, even if it's cloudy. It's just there's so much happening with her eyes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what are the changes you guys have felt?
I mean,
You've done more of that.
I definitely feel like well, I don't know. I mean, it's always hard to tell, and I have good days and bad days, but I feel more awake when I immediately get out. Like and everybody knows that. Like that when you have to get up early in the morning and go outside to do something, all of a sudden you're active and you're awake and you get energy.
Right.
Like it feels good. But for someone who used to be like a total night owl, like now I started to just vibe with like, all right, I go to bed at 9 and I'll be up at 6 and it's just better.
Nice.
Yeah. But we're about to come into winter and it's not going to be the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
What a terrible season that is.
Yeah.
Are there different parts of your job during winter? There must be.
It just slows down a lot. They don't grow as much in the winter. So my time in between trims or shoes usually extends a little bit, instead of like, I mean, I have people this summer, feet were growing fast. I had people on like 4 and 5 week schedules because you go back to the same horse all the time. That would normally be on like 7 or 8, 6, 7, 8 week schedules. So everyone was growing really, really fast this year. And then in the wintertime, I have clients that will go out to like 10 weeks.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
What is the difference is it because it's just not being as active or?
Yeah, not as active. Nutrition usually goes down. Even if people are graining and haying when they're not out on pasture, they just get a little bit not as great nutrition. So their feet don't grow as much from that. And then they actually have shunts that when it gets really cold, circulate some of their blood not into the foot.
Oh, really?
And so they actually get less blood flow in really cold weather.
I feel like humans and animals are just like, we just don't want winter. We're just like, let's just make it through and sleep a lot and like we won't do a whole lot. So why do we live with it? Why are we not all closer to the equator?
Yeah.
That's my question.
We don't get it super bad here though.
What?
It's kind of like slushy for a lot of months. It doesn't get really, really cold.
No, it's terrible. It's the worst in Illinois.
Yeah.
It's the worst. I grew up here. I know. It was like just months of ice on roads. That's all it is. And it's just ice
That
and
is
never see
true.
the
It
sun.
does get
It's
icy.
awful. I'll be gone. And my favorite new thing is like as a Midwest kid, now I have the chance to just go be in Tucson for the whole winter.
I was going to say, where are you going to be when
We'll be in Florida.
crappy
We'll
here?
be in Tucson. And
That's
it's awesome.
awesome.
I'll be out in the sunshine, like 60 degrees, my shirt off, just vibing in the sun.
Nice.
Like I'm so over winter as a thing.
That's funny.
I would be happy if I never saw a snowflake again, for real.
That's terrible.
No, it's not. Why is it terrible?
I don't know. You just like blamed it on the tiny snowflake.
Name a
Like,
good.
what did it do? No,
Okay.
it is bad though. I had some people. So this winter we had a couple days that were like maybe -10, and a couple days that were like 5 degrees,
Nope.
8 degrees,
Nope.
and I had one day where my finger, like under my fingernails, started burning. So I was okay-ish while the sun was up, and then my last trim, it was literally like the last 2 feet of the last horse, and the sun dips down. And my fingernails started burning, and they burned. I mean, the sun goes down at what, 4:30? They burned until I went to bed that night.
So you got frostbite.
Or something. I mean, it burned. And so I put something on my story on Instagram the next day, and these guys, a bunch of farriers in Canada that follow me, were like, oh no. They were like, it's -30 here, and we're out all day. And we come to Ohio when it's like 15, 20 degrees, and they said it's miserable. Like, we can't stand it.
What?
Because
Why?
it's so dry
Here or there?
there. So the
Oh, I see.
humidity really, it makes the hot seem hotter and it makes the cold seem colder. I don't really know why. I don't
Yeah.
know if it's because the moisture like freezes onto your body or something.
We seem to pick good times to be in Illinois. Like we always seem to be here in the fall, which I can live with. Like you guys have nice falls.
Yeah,
That's
it's
fine.
beautiful here now.
But I will not be here in January and February
Yeah,
for
well,
the
the
blizzards.
Canadians agree with you.
Yeah, the Canadians come to Tucson. Like,
Do they really?
yeah, I think that there is, like most of the RV parks around there have a Canadian flag next to the U.S. flag because
No
that's
way.
how many people are
Really?
complete snowbirds and come down there. Yeah,
That's crazy.
I like them. The Canadians, they're fun. They're a good time.
Yeah.
But they, you know what? Last year was like really slow because they couldn't leave for COVID.
Oh yeah.
They'd have to it was really hard for them to get back into Canada. So like a bunch of people didn't come.
How long have you and your wife been doing the mobile travel
2
thing?
years.
So you started with the right before COVID?
Yeah, we got really lucky. We got married in August of 2018.
Oh.
Right? No,
19.
it would have been
Right
2019.
before COVID.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the real start was spring of 2020.
Yeah.
So that's when we got married, and like luckily our whole family was able to come out to Colorado and come to our wedding, which was great. And we left on the road 4 days after our wedding, and so we had a few months on the road. This thing started. We were like, we don't know how long this is going to last for. What's going on? And now we've been out the whole time with it.
Wow.
Everywhere's like really different in their approach to it, but I think people would be surprised like at how, I don't know. I just think people get really like tribal, and when you are constantly traveling, it's like the fastest way to be completely outside of all of those little tribes. And most of America is doing just fine with this thing. Like most people are just doing what they got to do and making their own choices, and it's all good. But some places are like a lot really, really restrictive, and some places are like really zero
Right.
restrictive. And so,
And probably just
seen
the
it all.
further you get out from a city.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I live and work in rural America. I mean, Champaign's been decently shut down, but like, I feel so unaffected by, probably as unaffected as you could be by all the
Well,
craziness.
horses still need their care.
Right.
So
Yeah. They don't even know we exist, but I guess I'm an essential worker.
can horses get COVID?
Supposedly, right?
They were saying
Can
that-
animals?
They were saying dogs could for a long time, but
Yeah.
I haven't kept up with it at all. If they
Yeah.
that's new or whatever. I haven't heard about a lot of dogs like dying from COVID, so apparently it's okay. That'd be ideal if they could not.
Yeah.
We need dogs.
So. I don't know.
I don't know what sent us on this tangent. I think it was just winter sucks and no animals like it. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
You gonna do this forever, farrier?
I don't know.
Where do you go?
Where do I go?
Yeah, every horse in the nation, you shoe them all and do all of their care. Or you own an empire of farriers.
Yeah.
Which one's more you?
I don't know. I have some things on my bucket list of like horses that I'd like to interact with. That maybe like in the next, I don't know, probably year or two. I'm going to do some stints with some other people that do have like they shoe racehorses or they
Oh, that's cool.
I just kind of explore that a little bit, but
That's
I
got to be
love-
prestigious, like a Triple Crown horse, and you like take care of its hooves, right? Like that's got to be sought
Yeah.
after.
that's
That's got to be that's a
Supposedly.
thing, right?
but like I said, I never have a bad day at work.
Mm.
Relatively speaking. I mean, I never don't want to go to work. I love my clients. I really love everything about that part of what I do. I don't have a lot of, with all the other little things that I have my feet in, I don't have a lot of bandwidth to expand with the farrier stuff. Although it's gotten to the point where I don't really have any room in my books. I keep making room. But I have a lot of horses. I have as many as I need, but I also don't want to get the name around the area for, her books are full, don't call her, because you constantly have a little bit of turnover. I
Right.
mean, I've had 2 horses die this year, and,
Mm.
old horses, or somebody decides to, get out of horses and they sell their 5 horses or they move or,
Mhm.
so I've always got people that are in and out. So I've got a guy riding with me now. He's very interested in being a farrier. He's going to go to school for it this coming year. And I've had 1 or 2 other people that have been, like, they graduated and they've done an apprenticeship and are interested in, like, moving back to the area. One of the guys is from here. And so, I don't know. I have some different things that I could explore with hiring someone part-time or something like that.
Mhm. Well, you and your dude
Which-
both have kind of like an entrepreneurial spirit, I feel like.
Yeah.
And you're kind of new school because you're taking this to Instagram. Like people are fascinated by what you do.
Yeah.
And so what made you want to do that? What made you say like, I'm going to start documenting things and talking about this and kind of make your own brand around it?
I just wanted my husband to stop telling me, you need to be on Instagram. You need to be on Instagram. Why are you not on Instagram? Okay, fine. So that's why I started the Instagram page. Um, and then I don't really remember how, when it first became apparent that if I put some time into it, it could really grow. I think most of my motivation at the beginning, after I started it and Nick stopped harassing me, was then that was about the time that I was selling this cleaner. And I was just selling it to my clients. I would like make it up, and it's a hydrogen peroxide base. And that's the main thing, is that it's very gentle. I mean, I would give it to my clients. I just put it in a cheap spray bottle and I'd be like, use this up and then just make it yourself. It's got some essential oils that supposedly are good for, but the main thing is the hydrogen peroxide.
Sure.
So secret's out. But they kept on winning. It was working really good because it doesn't, it's a good product. And finally I was like, okay, if these people are going to actually beg me to make it for them, I was like, we're going to like make a cute label. And that's so it just kind of evolved from that. And then once I was like, oh, this like people actually really like it. Then I was really using Instagram to like promote the product or have more of an online presence.
Do you enjoy doing that part of it?
I do, for the most part. But it tends to take a back seat if I have a lot of other stuff going. I definitely enjoy shoeing horses more. So if there's horses to shoe, they will definitely take precedence over.
Yeah, it's a hard thing about, I don't know, it's the time we live in, which is like it's not quite enough to just do the thing anymore. Like you also have to document while you're doing it, and that can be really hard. Like I don't always have fun having to film everything that we do on the road.
I don't enjoy that.
But I like the end product. I like that like we put a vlog together and it's like telling the whole story, and like so you like, what are you gonna do? You gotta kind of gotta do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I also like the other thing that I mean you're on my Instagram page, but there's a lot of people that I keep running into that are I think a lot of people that are my type of client, they get into horses. They maybe had horses when they were a kid, which would have been, 20, 30 years ago. And now they're getting back into them or getting into them for the first time as an adult. And so there's a lot of stuff that they just don't know. And not that there's anything wrong with this, but no horse person that I've ever known calls a halter, which is what you put on their face, a harness. A harness goes on their body and it's a whole different thing. And so they'll call the halter something that like it becomes evident like, oh, you don't have any other horse people friends. You don't even know what this thing is called. You're struggling to put it on your horse's head. And nowadays, I mean, it's so easy to go online and find anything. And a lot of people do that, but there's not a lot of like super basic horse stuff. Like when people go to put in a dry lot, all my clients are asking me, what do I do for a dry lot? So just that kind of like really pretty basic horse stuff that maybe isn't as easy to find on the internet from a reliable source as, doing a car project or something like that.
Right.
So I enjoy making that kind of content, and I get a lot of good feedback on that kind of thing.
Right.
Just like basic how to.
We want to know stuff.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard to admit. Sometimes it's hard to find the places. And I also feel like the internet in itself becomes so segmented that like it becomes a competition about who knows more about certain things. And it becomes very hard to be a beginner at this. And I see this with things I like too, with archery and with jiu-jitsu. Like forget about it. If you are a beginner and have like really basic questions, it's super hard to get answers to those things.
Interesting.
And it becomes this competition of like, who knows the name of this and who knows the name of this and who knows this guy that you should know from MMA and who knows this person. And it's just, hi there. Hi. I've got a friend. And so it just feels like it becomes competitive in that way. So for someone like you to be putting this information out there, that's like, yeah, this is basic, but like
how to pick up your horse's hoof and the difference between like
yeah,
picking the rocks out before a trail ride and really cleaning your horse's foot. Yeah, stuff like that.
And if you're welcoming and honest about the information and people are like, oh, I can trust this information.
Right. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with being a beginner. And maybe it's not as interesting for a lot of people to write about too. Maybe there is just some like, I don't know if this is a thing, but like how to choose a super beginner bow. Yeah.
I mean, there are blogs, but hello. I know you want love. But now this is a little complicated because you've
Porter.
crossed my legs on top.
Porter, come here. You gotta get out of here. Go do something.
Okay. Didn't want to hurt Porter. We're friends now.
Yeah.
What were we talking about? Oh, yeah. But like finding someone who will, like, everybody has different questions. Everybody has like a custom thing going on with them. They're like, yeah, I've heard about this basic piece of information, but I don't know the super details for like how this applies to my life. And so someone like you that's making that information, that's great. And I don't know obviously anything about horses, but I'm like reading your post and I'm like fascinated. Like you had one that I think you just posted that was about like putting cayenne pepper on wrappings so that they won't rip
that
them
was
off.
something
And I was like, that's so interesting.
I've seen that for horses that bite. Like if you stall them a lot and they get bored, they'll actually like bite. They'll bite. They'll chew on the wood, and so I've seen people like put the cayenne pepper on the wood, like put like Vaseline or something, and then they taste it and it's gross. But this horse was, and then somebody commented and said their horse does the same thing. Not only pulls the wrap off of the hoof, but eats it. And so that's not safe.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, she figured out the cayenne pepper thing too. But.
Right. But I just think that's interesting.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, well that's.
And that's the stuff I enjoy reading.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, like I said, that's the stuff that gets the best feedback.
Yeah.
When I post it too.
Well, and if you can be honest with people online, like I find that for clients that I work with my business or just people that I know, if you're putting out real information about yourself, it helps narrow the field of like who is interested back in you, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So like people, I don't want every client for my marketing company.
Yeah.
I don't want to do business with everybody because I don't like everybody. But the more that I put out podcasts and videos and things like that, I always tell people like, that's how someone's going to see if they like what I'm saying. And if they don't, they shouldn't call me because I'm not going to enjoy working with them.
Right.
So like the more I'm putting out there, just the better. And you have to get over too, like looking like an idiot. So like early episodes of this podcast are hard to listen to and early videos I've made are hard to watch, but you just kind of have to be honest that you're like continuing to learn things and change it up and
yeah, that's good.
Staying curious, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big one. I don't know. But we all have to do it now. Can't just exist as a person. You have to exist online also.
Yeah, it's super interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you've made a good run of it, though. You clearly are an entrepreneur. People are listening.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
A little weird. Oh, shoot.
You're breaking my stuff.
Too closely.
All right, I have another horse question because I'm sprinkling these in so that I don't go on too many tangents about other things. I don't understand the difference between a miniature horse and a pony, and I've tried to understand these things. Can you help me? Is this something you know about?
I couldn't tell you all the genetics of it. A pony just means it's 14 hands or under.
So it's not a different species per se?
No.
Okay. What's a miniature horse then?
Well, there's miniature horses and there's miniature ponies. So you've got like Shetland ponies.
Okay.
They're all different.
They're all different.
And then you've got so you've got miniature versions of the ponies. You've got micro minis, dwarf minis. You've got minis and dwarf mini donkeys and mules. You can have draft mules.
Okay.
Yeah. We've made them all.
When I see a small looking horse as I drive by and I go,
Probably
there's a
a
pony.
miniature pony.
Okay.
Most likely. If it looks medium sized, like we've got them all.
Yeah, good explanation for sure.
Yeah,
now I feel like
thanks.
I know.
And sometimes I can't always tell the difference between you'll have like a really big miniature pony that looks like the same size
And
as like a Shetland pony or something like that.
Hands is how you measure their
Yeah, so
height.
hand is 4 inches.
Oh God, whose hand is 4
and
inches?
you measure. I don't know. I think it's supposed to be like
It's just your
the width
digits?
of your hand or something.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
like at the palm.
okay.
I think so.
This
Maybe.
This is a strange turn.
Yeah.
Hi,
Porter, that is
Porter.
very rude.
Hello, Porter. Everybody, you getting some mic sniffs? Hello. I know, but I think you gotta go.
Porter, get down. Careful, she's got your. How about
All right. Oh, my headphones came undone.
should we tell Nick to come get you? Do you need to go out?
We need more help. How old is Porter?
10 months, 9 months.
You probably can't hold your bladder that long, can you? And it's raining. We all have to pee when it starts raining.
There, Nickel come.
All right, save us, Nick. Help us out.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's all fine. I have no fucking idea what I was talking about now, which is also okay. It's a podcast.
Porter and I are gonna learn to hunt.
What will
Of
you
a
be
guy we
hunting?
met on Instagram.
Oh, really?
Instagram paying off for me. Yeah,
Okay. So what are we going to be hunting?
ducks. She's at least gonna learn to retrieve them. I may
Nice.
learn to hunt them. I don't know yet.
Okay.
But
Why would you
she's-
not? That's got to be awesome.
Because it would be. I just have like a million other things that I'm
Right.
doing. But she's a really good swimmer. She's a really good retriever. Loves doing both.
Okay.
Will do them all day, forever if you let her. And she's really freaking smart. She needs a job.
Right.
So. that's
Well, this
part
is
of her
something I
job.
talked a lot with Kaz about on that episode. Like, dogs need utility, and like most of them are around to hunt, and that's pretty cool. We're
Yeah.
going on our first hunt in a couple weeks here, and I'm very.
Oh yeah, I heard you say that. So what is that gonna be?
It's just gonna be a whitetail hunt up in Wisconsin, and I'm totally intimidated. I came here because there's a great archery range here. It's kind of like a hidden gem.
Where?
I'll tell you off air.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I don't want people to know where I am every single morning.
Sure.
And it's a great range, and so I'm out there like constantly right now getting ready to do this thing because it's so intimidating to me.
That's cool. And
Brand
it's
new.
with a bow.
Yeah,
You're gonna do it with a bow.
with a bow. I think I have 2 tags. I think I have for a buck and a doe because they're doing a lot of population control out there. So
What's your wife's name again?
Andrea,
Andrea. Is she hunting with you? Or
she
just you?
is going to be running the camera. So
Oh, okay.
she made a documentary that came out earlier this year about like our first year in the RV that just exploded, which we were really excited about. People got really into it. And so now she's doing a whole series about us hunting and getting into
Cool.
that. And so she's going to be like, she's all geared up with like multiple cameras and giant lenses. And she's going to be
Wow.
right next to me, like trying to get all of it, trying to get, if she can get the money shot, that's what we want. And if she can't, that's okay. But it'll be the whole experience and
That's
doing
really
this.
cool.
Yeah.
Are you going with someone? Or
Yes. Thank God.
Is it someone you know, or
Yes.
is it like a guy? Okay.
It's a family friend.
Sweet.
And I'm totally like, at first he was like, yeah, we got stands everywhere and you just go out. And I was like, yeah, I think I'd like a mentor with me. Like, because the first time you do that is so, I don't know, just the judgment of all of it is so intimidating to me. I really am hoping that I'll have someone next to me to go like, yep, go ahead. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just to give you that nod. That's like, I think I know everything about this moment. I think I'm ready to take this shot,
Yeah.
but I just need the nod. But hopefully it goes well. I don't know.
Yeah. I think that makes sense.
But we're trying to, we'll probably get into a lot of different stuff with hunting. We really like it. So maybe we'll be out duck hunting one day too.
Oh, that's what she wants. She wants the hoof.
It looks like a bone worth chewing on for sure.
Yeah. No, it came with a note that said, if you're going to store it like in a storage shed or something like that, it has to, put it in a plastic box and don't let your dogs near it.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
That's great. And now it really is raining out there too.
Yeah, it really is.
Those are most of my horse questions for you.
Hunting. That's what we were talking about.
The hero's here.
Can you call her? Thank you.
Thank you, Nick.
Bye.
Nice guy.
Yeah.
That's very helpful.
Yes.
I'm less distracted already, I feel like.
Oh.
How about you?
Yeah.
When are you guys going to be doing this?
Doing.
The hunting?
Oh, that.
Do you have plans to do it, or are
Like
you
the
just...
first week of November, I'm getting together with this guy, and he's gonna get me going on some of the. Oh no, he's gonna assess our whole situation. Probably train me on like a shot collar and
Wow.
some of the longer. I mean, she's really good. She'll fetch anything I throw. I can do some stuff where I can like throw 2 things. I can point her in the direction of the thing that I want her to get. I mean, she's really smart about all of the retrieving part of it, and she's a fantastic swimmer. She's not scared of guns.
Good.
Can shoot all day with her, and she doesn't care.
Well, this sounds like something that's right up your alley because you were like training is maybe something I want to do, but now you get to just do it for yourself.
Yeah.
There's no people involved, just animals.
Yeah.
What a perfect situation
I know.
for you.
Yeah.
So
So
you're
yeah,
excited.
we'll see. I'm super excited.
Have you eaten duck?
I actually don't know if I have.
Yeah.
Probably once or twice.
I know I've had duck fat and I've had like duck bacon, but I've never had anybody be like, here's a duck breast. Dig in.
Yeah, I think I have.
It's got to be good.
Yeah. Probably.
Any
I
other
mostly
thoughts?
just want something to do with my dog.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah.
Do you
I
have
could
any
just
other
Be
pets?
nope, just the one. Yep. She's very single child
Mm. Yeah.
syndrome with both of us,
Yeah.
which is fine.
Yeah. Attachment issues and
She's
overly
actually
spoiled.
pretty good.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But she definitely gets like all of the care and
Mhm.
all of the attention. And
Right.
my next endeavor is all about the dog. So
Are you going to have horses one day?
I don't know. They're so high maintenance. There's so much care. I really like to travel, and it's a lot to have a farm and then have something like that you can't just
Mhm.
pack up and take with you. So I don't know. If I ever did, it would be a lease kind of situation.
Okay.
So it would be like at a barn, someone else would own it, and I would lease it, pay for a lot of its care for the time that I was leasing it, but it would definitely be in a situation that was easy to walk away from.
I
that
have
time.
heard a lot in the hunting world about mules. Like I'm familiar with the idea that mules are
packing.
really prized. Yeah, for packing for hunting. That like people really like them. And I always thought it was interesting. The person who was talking about them, maybe you know if this is true or not, talked about how mules have like a self-preservation system built in to where like a horse you can take it right off a cliff if that's what you're telling it to do, but a mule is like, nah, it's not going to go somewhere where it feels like it's going to be in danger.
Yeah.
Which like it's almost got an extra level built in that's like I guess great for pack animals.
Yeah, I've definitely heard and experienced, I think, when a horse gets spooked by something, they'll like react without thinking, whereas if you startle a mule or a donkey, they freeze first. And kind of assess, which is not something that most horses do. They don't assess the situation. They just
bolt.
they just
'Cause
react.
that's
and
what they would
respond.
be trying to do.
And I've also noticed like all my little donkey clients are really, really, not really, really. They're not horrible. But when I first go to them, they're like very standoffish. I do sometimes have to use sedation, or they have to get sedation and use it for the first couple, like something that kind of halfway knocks them out. Because I don't have the time to sit there and train each of them all the time. But we might do that like once or twice. But I have donkeys that started off that way, and 5-6 trims later, like they hear my truck coming and they know, like they're up at the gate.
Really?
So they're really, I think it's intelligence. I think they're really,
Yeah.
really smart, and they're preserving themselves. They don't just love anybody, but then they'll remember you, and they'll apparently remember the sound of your truck, which is crazy.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because we always think of donkeys as being like stubborn. I mean, or mules
Yeah.
too. Like that's the expression is stubborn as a mule.
I think they're just smart.
They're
and
smart.
they don't just do anything. They
Mhm.
don't follow as easily. But anybody that rides mules like swears by it. They'll never
Really?
go back to a horse. Yeah.
because of what we were talking about, that there's like a self-preservation element there, or like what is it?
Yeah, and the bond you can have with them. I mean, all of my horses like me, and I think all of them get used to me and know me to some extent. But my donkeys and my mules, like they've bonded to me. It's very.
They're smarter, maybe.
I think they are.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Not smart enough to reproduce, but
Yeah.
they can be smart.
But
What an odd thing.
I know.
We also probably created those. I mean, I'm sure there were some. I don't know any of the history of donkeys at all, so I don't know if are there wild donkeys in there. Everything was wild.
Yeah,
at one
I mean,
point, but like,
wild burros, right?
is that a thing?
Yeah.
Oh.
In Custer State Park. I heard you
Really?
mention it in your last. When
Well,
were you
yeah.
in Custer?
Last year.
Oh, yeah. The herd burnt up in a fire several
Burnt
years
up?
ago. They lost a bunch of the herd. So the past 6 years, this year was the first. I was there this summer, and this year was one of the first years the herd was more complete.
That's so strange.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
they are.
would there be mules in the wild, or is that something that we've sort of made them do? Is like mate with each other?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Donkeys in the wild, horses in the wild, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
It'd be
None
odd,
that
right?
I know of.
But like even early humans, there's still like Neanderthal DNA like in people because like Neanderthals would mate with Homo sapiens, and so that's out there.
Yeah.
I don't have any of it apparently.
Oh, really?
Ancestry said I didn't. You know,
How do you do that?
the spit test thing?
What's
You haven't
the?
done this?
No, I haven't. I've thought about it though.
Mm-hmm. It's like send your DNA to someone. It's a little freaky, but I went ahead and did it.
Do you know like which one's the one you should do it, or because there's like
I did the ancestry one because they're all linked up to like the family tree thing, and so like as soon as you do it, it knows who your like mother and father are, and it's like this is your mother and father, this is your sibling, and
if they've also done it.
here's your second cousin, here's your first cousin. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. But you
That's
can like
crazy.
sign up and have the whole like family tree, so people are like into this. Like
So
my
you can do
mom's
that
really
through
into this.
Ancestry.
Yeah.
.com, and you
Mhm.
can like find it all.
Mhm.
Okay.
Free ad ancestry.
Yeah.
You can't pay for this level exposure.
Right.
Yeah, but apparently I don't have any weird things going on with my DNA.
Disappointing.
I'm kind of disappointed. It'd be kind of cool to be like, yeah, I got Neanderthal blood. Like that'd
Yeah.
be strange, right? But no, I don't have any.
That's funny. Okay, yeah, and I'm gonna do it now.
Okay.
I'll let you know.
Okay.
How
It was-
long does it take?
Like a few weeks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's a long time. You send it and then you're like, okay, I guess that's it because
Forget about it.
it takes a long time.
Gotcha.
But they do it, and then they just updated it recently. I had to go recheck, and they because as more people contribute,
Then
they
it'll
can,
hook
like-
up with your. That's interesting.
so that's like higher pinpoint of like here's where you're from, and so like I know that like I really like that I'm a lot of parts Scottish apparently, which just makes me excited because I feel like that's a cool vibe. Like
Yeah.
Braveheart is like my spirit animal, I guess,
Nice.
and so it's like updated, and now I'm more Scottish, and I was like,
Oh,
fuck yeah.
sweet.
I know. It's a big
Changes.
win. It is weird though, but if everybody in the world did this, you could like really
that
map
is
this thing
so
out.
weird.
You know exactly where you came from. You know everybody who was in your
But
family.
again, would that be knowing too much?
That's what I wonder.
What would that make us want to do?
Yeah. I don't know. It doesn't make me want to do anything other than like again
Tell
when I'm
people
like
about it.
well what it really is like when I'm really tired in jiu-jitsu, I feel like I just like scream freedom in my head because I'm not a weirdo.
There you go.
And then I'm like, I got another round in me. So, you just like make associations with things you like and then
That's
just
cool.
use it to
Yeah,
your
okay, I'm
advantage.
definitely gonna do it.
Yeah, you should do it for sure. Do you know anything about your family history? Like where you
I mean,
came from?
Yes.
I talked to one of my podcast
Germans.
guests, Javis Borg in Minneapolis, was like, I don't know anything. I was like, you don't know, like most people are at least like, yeah, my family's like German, or my family's like, there's a lot of French in my family.
Yeah.
But
Really
he was like,
German,
"Oh,
Scandinavian.
Okay.
That's all I know.
Yeah, you're a Midwest kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's how it goes.
Super original.
Yeah.
But I don't know that. For all I know, I was adopted. So we're
Yeah. That
gonna do this spit test. And
I
find
feel
out what
like-
the truth is.
feel like, it depends on the person. I sound a lot like my dad and I look a lot like him. I look a lot like my mom too, so I'm pretty sure I'm good, and that was verified.
Yeah,
you
no,
know.
I look exactly like my mother.
Right.
So,
So, like what are the odds you are adopted then?
Yeah.
It's pretty low.
probably pretty low.
But I'm sure, I think about this all the time. There have been some awkward things that must have come out of these DNA tests.
Oh, no kidding.
Like
yeah.
awkward things like, oh, that's not my dad.
Oops.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this, like they've
That'd be
split
bad.
families apart for sure, as much as they built them.
Yeah.
We could be related. I'm supposed to check
We-
now with everybody. I did an episode in Indiana, and we put together that I was second cousins with my guest on the show.
Oh, yeah. How did that happen? Because I saw that on
his
your post.
his mom was there. I had forgotten a battery, and so we were like waiting for Andrea to bring it over to me, and we just get to talking, and she starts naming family names in Illinois, and I was like, no, and we put it together that she's my mom's cousin, so she's my
Wow.
first cousin once removed, and he's my second cousin.
That's crazy.
And we just
It's a small world.
yeah.
I was talking with my parents, so I went. My parents live like around the corner from Custer State Park, so I was there.
It's a great area.
It is, and apparently they go to church with the grandmother of my across the cul-de-sac neighbor.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's kind of a small world, and the Midwest
So
is
weird.
like a really small world,
Yeah,
and
It really
just kinda is what it
is, yeah.
is. It's odd, but I really feel like I have to check with every guest now,
Yeah.
especially in this area. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, well, you could be. You got the red hair.
I need to
You could be
be.
Nick's
It's possible. I need to
second
be
cousin.
friends with your parents. Can you make us friends?
Yeah.
Because I need any excuse to go up to Custer State Park. Like we stayed there for like 2 weeks, and we were there for I think it was we just kind of called it our honeymoon while we were up there, and it was just awesome.
Yeah.
It's so great.
gorgeous.
It's
so
awesome.
nice. I'm going, by the time this year's up, I think I will have been there. Well, okay, maybe 4. No, yeah, 5 times.
Yeah, people
Sorry.
people are
going.
sleeping on South Dakota, and now
They
it's my
are.
home state. Like official, like legally, that's my home state.
Oh, no kidding?
Yep.
Where? Well, you probably don't want to say it on the.
Well, no, it doesn't matter because it's not a
Where is
real.
your driveway?
It's not a real place.
Oh.
It's like because we're full timers. Full timers can choose basically. Are you a resident of Florida,
Right.
Texas, or South Dakota?
So really?
Because there's no state income tax in those places, and so like who wants to sign up to pay state income
Right.
tax? So
So you picked South Dakota.
yep,
Nice.
it's the best. It's awesome.
It is.
I have Mount Rushmore on my plates.
Do
It's
you
great.
really?
Yeah,
I didn't even see that.
it's really cool. But people like, I just don't think people get that South Dakota is like a really cool place. They assume anything up there is kind of just boring
Yeah.
farmland. It's like
Well, and it is a lot of
not when you get the Black Hills.
just rolling, kind of like Iowa, rolling farmland for
Yeah,
what, 2/3 of the state?
yeah,
But no, there's some cool stuff out there.
for sure.
And you got the river. Isn't it the #1 pheasant hunting place
I didn't know that.
anywhere?
Really?
I think so.
Do your parents hunt?
No.
Oh.
My dad used to. when
Okay.
he was a kid. My dad grew up East River, and then his parents moved West River to the Black Hills, I don't know, when he was like 30. And then my family moved from here back to the Black Hills.
Yeah, I could stay in the Black Hills more.
Yes.
It's a great place.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Do you guys camp besides the camper that you do all the time? Do you guys ever like backpack or go out?
No.
Okay.
Not right now. I know we will when we get into like more intense forms of hunting, like backcountry hunting.
Right.
But for right now, I'm like, nope, we camp full time, so
Right.
I don't need a tent and
So
to
where'd
not
you
sleep
stay
all
when you
night.
were in?
It's a small park right outside of Custer State
Okay.
Park, and again, I don't give away
Right. Yeah.
my parks.
I keep forgetting that we're
It's the
recording this
fame
for
thing.
everybody.
It's like
Right.
I'd have roadies show up, and it'd be a whole thing. So, no, mostly it's just like I don't want people to go to my spots that I've found.
Yeah, no,
because it's
I
my
don't-
spots.
Don't do that either.
Yeah, it's
all
not
my
good.
all my favorite spots. People are like, "Oh my gosh, where's that?" And I'm like, Indiana.
Indiana, the great state, the Hoosier
Yeah.
state. Wonderful place. Go check it
Yeah.
out. Anywhere but where I go, please.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a funny thing. It's just one of those things where like we, of course, it's not like I'm reaching millions of people, but when Andrea's documentary came out and we didn't expect it to reach anybody, and then it reached hundreds of thousands of people, it was like, okay, good thing you sort of plan for it. Good thing you're like,
Yeah.
we didn't put more personal information in there because you just have to assume that at some point everybody could watch it. So
Yeah.
they have to live like that.
Yeah. No, there's a little swimming. Though there's 2 little swimming holes down the road from my parents. And like when I was a kid, I mean, you could go. I mean, you might run into someone. I mean,
Mhm.
just a little, like park off the highway. Maybe would run into someone. Definitely not on a weekday. And now, like all throughout the week, unless you get up at the crack of dawn.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just there's tons of people there
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
Like I don't even. It's not even fun to go to them anymore.
Yeah.
But
I
at the same
know.
time, I'm like, I don't. Or there's a spot in Indiana that did that. They closed the park. It was so. The last time I actually went there, the cops were like clearing everybody out because there's so many people there. I mean, it was just ridiculous. I mean, just cars lining the road.
Mm.
And it's a tiny little park, but it's beautiful. And then, yeah, they closed the whole thing. The last time Nick and I tried to go, they had like felled all the trees into the parking lot. Like, this place is shut down.
Yeah. I feel so torn about it because I think that the one thing that can like help save humanity is for people to go back outside
I
and
know.
be more active in nature. And I want that, but at the same time, I don't want them to go to my spot.
Right.
I think we all struggle with that a little bit
Right. And I
know,
mean, what do you do? I don't
because
know.
it's like I loved that hiking trail, but now but a hiking trail with 100 people on it is
It's not the same
terrible.
thing,
It's
yeah.
an awful experience. Like I was so over like Great Smoky Mountains National Park is awesome, except that it's just like what you're describing. Like there was a line of cars when we left, because we got up real early, we knew it was going to be busy. It's the most popular national park in the country, apparently. And so we were there early and we got to go on a hike, but the hike itself was still crazy overcrowded. And then as we're going out, there's a line of cars for just miles trying to get in the park. And I'm like, that last car will wait easily 3 hours before they're in the park. Like I can, and they don't know it. They don't know how far away they are from the entrance either, and that there's no parking in the park. It's just the kind of the worst. But
that's crazy.
I want people to be excited, and there's plenty of space. It's just people flock to like the popular spot.
Right.
It's kind of my beef with national parks in general. It's like
I know.
It's like I see amazing things at all these like state parks where it's like there's 3 cars here and it's a state park and it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
But because there's a national park down the road, no one comes here. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I like small places. I will forever be a county park person.
Yeah.
Like, find me the gem. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh,
there it goes.
Go.
And it was going
We're not
to.
moving enough.
Maybe that's our sign. I think I've taken up enough of your time.
It's been good.
This is fun. I like talking with you.
I want to have you and your wife over for dinner and like keep chatting.
She's way more fun than me too.
I bet.
Yeah. I'm super lame compared
Nick
to her.
is way more fun than me, so we should definitely do
We got
it.
the 2 least fun people together. Oh, great. That's what we like doing. No, that sounds fun. We'll work something out off camera so you weirdos don't know where we're going. Yeah.
Not
or you should eat
Filippo's.
You really should. I'm gonna call them right when I leave here, and no joke, they open at 4 p.m. And I called the other day at like 4:03, and they were like, "Okay, you're already order number 6, and it's gonna be 45 minutes." And I was like, "What? Like you guys just opened?" They're huge. They're super popular. So I'm calling them the second I leave here because it'll be like 2 hours.
Dang.
Easily.
All right.
Is my guess. It's Saturday. It's rainy.
Yeah. It's a good day for
want
pizza if there ever was one.
Yeah. Just at least try it for me, all right?
I will.
You guys are right here. Just go take out. What you get is just a cheese pizza. Don't mess around with any toppings with this thing. It's pure. And I recommend.
Is it deep dish or crispy or?
No, it's thin. It's like
normal.
Yeah, normal. You call it normal. It's not really thin.
It's like a Casey's floppy piece
Don't
of pizza.
you dare compare. All right.
Figured that
this
might get
episode's
you.
fucking done. Casey's pizza.
Yeah.
Casey's bread with hairs on it is what my experience has been.
That's gross.
Yeah. All right. Tell people where they can find you online. Let's wrap this up like as if it was a podcast.
Okay. Everything's Jess The Farrier. So, Jess The Farrier on Instagram, jessthefarrier.com. Yeah.
And do you want to plug your products as well? Don't you have an account for that?
Yeah, it's all Jess The Farrier.
Okay, all Jess The Farrier.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I will put your links obviously in the description. We'll snap a couple photos for anybody who wants to see what we're talking about here and your space.
Yeah.
And those will be on my profile as always at T Hickson Life. Jess, thanks for being on the podcast. It's a lot of fun.
Thanks for
Super
having
good to
me.
meet you.
You're awesome.
No, you are. This has been fun.
Thanks.
Midwest stuff, people. We're doing Midwest things out here. I got my shirt on to represent for Hunter Rain, Midwest MFG. All right, people. Thanks for listening. As always, we will see you on the next episode.